Hey everybody, this is Adam over at David French Music, and we're going to be doing a series on instrument maintenance. We'll walk you through some of the most salient points to take care of your instrument day to day, things that you can be doing to keep your instrument in top playing condition in between actual trips to the repair shop and professional servicing. Today we'll start with the flute and the piccolo. So one of the most common things with the flute that you as a player can be checking on is your head joint cork. Not necessarily what shape it's in, but we're going to be checking on the amount of pressure that that cork is holding. So what you can do to check this is you can unscrew the actual crown just a little bit and give it a light downward push. If you can't get the cork to move, that's a great sign. What that means is the head joint cork is in the position it needs to be in, and it hasn't compressed to the point where it's going to cause any type of issue with the intonation of the flute. As a rule of thumb with any instrument, the closer to the top of the instrument something goes out of place or out of regulation, it affects everything below it. Now, how to check that a head joint cork is even in the right position is another cool little trick that you can be doing. In every flute case, and this is true of piccolos as well, we have a cleaning rod. And it's not just to be cleaning the instrument. At the end of the rod, there's an actual trim line they put in the rod so that when you check inside of the head of the flute, you should get that line to line up on the inside of the lip plate. You can look right through down the strike wall, down the opening there. If it's in the middle, great, you're in great shape. If it's too far to the left or right and you're noticing that the cork is moving around, this is a good indicator that it's probably time to go and get that flute checked out, or that piccolo checked out. The process works the exact same for the piccolo. With a head joint cork, when a head joint cork is brand new, we've got a brand new cork, looks nice and fresh, it's no discoloration, and it's a little bit on the thicker side. As a head joint cork starts to compress over time and gets a little bit more worn out and stops doing its job effectively, we get this. You can see it's all kind of worn out. It's much smaller than the newer one. This is just what the inside look is when you finally get it to a tech and we take them out and replace them for you. For actual pads, if you have any pads that are starting to stick on you, anything that's going wrong with just how the keys want to move up and down, what a really good solution is Yamaha makes a really nice brand of cleaning paper, which is called Yamaha cleaning paper, and it's almost the consistency of a dryer sheet. The purpose of this is that the actual material is going to grab some of what's actually on your pad seats, or that ring around the pad on each key. What you can do here to make that problem go away in between shop visits is just place that cleaning paper on the inside, in between the tone hole and the pad, lightly press the key about as hard as you would when you're playing the instrument, and just give it a tug through. Do that a few times. You won't hurt the pad as long as you're not pushing down too hard on anything, and it's going to clean up everything. It'll quiet down noisy keys that have that sticky sound, and it's going to get you a little bit more life out of the flute, especially if you're in a pinch or a performance situation where you need it to go away without getting to a shop. The last thing that we can be thinking about here with flutes is keeping everything dry. Moisture is the biggest enemy of any instrument, woodwind or brass, because when moisture is retained in an instrument, it starts causing corrosion in the metal, it can cause sticking in the keys, and it just overall makes things start to wear and tear much faster than they usually would. So what a great investment to get would be is, this is a Yamaha polishing gauze here, but you can get any kind of cheesecloth. It works just as well. What you're going to do with this is you can actually wrap it around the top of the cleaning rod through the eye of the needle there. I just have mine already set up here. You can do this dry just to take out moisture, or if you see fit, isopropyl alcohol acts as a pretty good disinfectant just to clean out any of the buildup inside of there. You can run it through the body, it's totally safe. Once you have the foot joint off the flute, you can do it there as well. You can even run it through the head of the flute. This works the same with the piccolo, just your cleaning rod is going to be a little bit smaller than the flute. It's great to do that after every single time you play. Again, we want to keep the moisture at bay. It'll keep the instrument functioning a little bit longer. A couple little points for the flute and piccolo that we have just to keep in mind. The first one, a great investment might be a 1/16 size screwdriver. You can get this at any hardware store, you can get this online, doesn't matter. What this is really good for is just keeping an eye on any of the posts. Posts are just the actual pillar that sticks up from the body of the instrument, and you can usually see them at the end of the key stacks, like by your trill keys, by the upper stack, by your G, and by the lower stack. The only thing to keep in mind is an instrument vibrates as you play. So what's going to happen over time, especially with lesser quality instruments that are loosely fit, the rods are going to want to back out on you over time. So if you ever see one sticking out of the post just a little too far, so I'll do this one as an example here by the trill keys. If you ever see the rod sticking out a little too far, you can safely go in there with that screwdriver and just screw that back in too. Just make sure that the key is lined up with the post. Lastly, humidification. This doesn't matter so much with metal flutes and metal piccolos, but with any type of wooden piccolo and any type of wooden flute, especially if you have a wooden head joint, it might be a nice idea to invest in a humidifier. A nice little example we have here is called a dampet. It's just a piece of rubber tubing with holes, and inside is a sponge. So what you want to be doing with that is just filling it up with some water, wringing it out. In the Northeast, depending on where you are, up here, we just want to make sure we're doing that in the winter time when things start to get a little bit drier. Other times of the year, you're usually fine, but different parts of the world, it's going to be a little bit different. When it's really, really dry in the Midwest, and you can get some big fluctuations, or down south, you might want to be using it more often, but it's a great thing to help keep the wood from warping. These are just some tips and tricks that'll keep your flute and piccolo working for a bit longer and a bit better before you come see us here at the repair shop.